Hello, hello, principles of marketing people. Welcome back to Chapter 9. This will be part 2 of the Chapter 9 discussion, part 1 being already posted. And in part 2, we're going to spend most of the time talking about important concept in marketing, which is the product life cycle, which you may have had exposure to before. If so, good. If not, you're about to. The product life cycle, or the PLC, tracks the course of a product's sales and profits over its lifetime. And it involves these stages. Classic stages are introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. The authors of this text also include product development. But we're going to talk about these one at a time and then overall. So I apologize that some of these slides get messed up when converting over to this Collaborate platform. I'm recording this, but the ones that I post under modified PowerPoints are clearer than this. So it starts with the introduction stage. I've placed little arrows here to help you, as you can see right there. So we'll see we have the sales curve throughout, and then we have time. So we can see if we start back over here at product development, obviously we have no sales, right? We're developing the product, we don't even have anything. We come to here in time, and we have a product that we're going to bring to market. All right. So in the introduction stage, as the slide says, you have slow sales growth. Obviously, it's a new product. Little or no profit. Why is that? Because our sales are low, and we're spending a lot of money on advertising, right, to raise some awareness of the product. You know, we use advertising to remind, inform, and persuade. So we're advertising, spend a lot of money on that, and low sales, and we have to get it out into the distribution channels. So we've got to, ship it. Let's say, for example, if it's television, we've got to ship it to Walmart and Best Buy and Target, and they've got to sell it and pay us for it. So I would encourage you as we move along through these to think of products that would fit in these stages. And I'll give you some examples as we move along. The text uses HD, high definition television, as one. I would include LED, light emitting diode light bulbs. When they first came out, they were very expensive, and even though they were advertised heavily, people were buying them. The early adopters, if you remember that, they were buying them, but they weren't in every household that was buying light bulbs. They went from incandescent to compact fluorescent, those little twisty bulbs, and now most people buy LED. Right, so in the introduction stage, those are the characteristics that we have there. Next, classically, a product would enter the growth stage if it's good. If the product is not satisfying any needs the market has, then that may be the end of it. But if it's successful, it's offering, it's handling some needs that the market wants, it would move into the growth stage. And you can see the sales curve goes up pretty dramatically. That's kind of the highest point when the sales are growing the fastest. They grow some more in the next stage, but they're growing the fastest here. So early adopters are continuing to buy the thing, and later buyers start picking some up. If you remember the concept of that I'm talking about there from an earlier chapter, hopefully you do. Especially when word of mouth starts getting around and people start seeing other people have it and they go, oh yeah, that's great. Whatever. Think of an Apple Watch or some product like that. And when you're making money, of course, other people are going to get into the market and they're going to introduce their products that are like yours. If you're making money, it's going to attract people. So then you'll probably add some new features, as competitors will be adding new features because the competition is now starting to ramp up. And if consumers are seeking out the item, then Target, Walmart, and Best Buy, we'll go back to high definition television, they're going to want to have stock. They don't want to be stocked out when somebody comes in to buy one of these HD TVs. So the sales are going to go up a lot because you're going to now be selling to them, putting stock, and they're going to be paying for that. So that's going to help sales improve. Profits increase, you notice, down this part of the curve. You're in the growth stage because now your cost per unit that you're making is much less because you're making a lot more of them. You remember from economics that the more we can spread out these costs, these fixed costs, or these dead costs that we already have incurred over volume, then the unit cost gets less, which means our profits go up. Sell them for the same thing. So, and again, this slide is right, will be right on D2L. The maturity stage. Most products that you run across, if you were just going down the aisle of a grocery store, a Big Lots or a Walmart, are in the maturity stage, right? So what happens there? And by the way, most of marketing, or a lot of marketing, concentrates on managing products during the maturity stage because most of them are in that stage. So we've got a lot of producers, a lot of people with a lot of products to sell. So we could have some overcapacity, and that means that profits start to drop. So we come out with the first high definition television. Of course, it doesn't take long before everybody that's got one in the pipeline also puts theirs out. So, and we know the competition increases consumers' choice. You have a lot more things to choose from. It also drives down price. Competition being good for the consumer. The weaker competitors, they'll start dropping out. They'll start flaking out. So in the maturity stage, you start thinking about what the authors refer to as modifying the market, modifying the product offering, and modifying the product mix to try to help out, try to keep the sales from dip and profits from dipping. What does that mean? So if you modify the market, you're trying to find new users or new segments of the market to use your product. This slide has a 3M Post-it note. Now you know that if you went to buy some Post-it notes, in fact, a lot of people call them sticky notes, sticky pads. The Post-it note is a registered trademark from 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. What in the world does Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, how do Post-it notes fit into their product line? Well, the story of the invention of the Post-it notes is that I don't know if they were chemists or what they were working at Minnesota Mining Manufacturing, developed this glue that would stick. You stick it, but you could also just pull it right off. It would stay sticky, still adhere. And they brought it to their supervisor and said, look at this thing we've come up with. And the supervisor said, yeah, I don't know why you're excited about that. And so one night they made some pads of this paper with this adhesive on it, and they made a bunch of pads of them, put around on people's office desks. And people started using them, and then they didn't put any more back. And then people started going, hey, how do we get some more of those, little pads that stick on and everything? And then they went to the boss and said, those things everybody's screaming about? Yeah, that's what we were trying to bring to your attention the other day. And he said, oh, okay, well, that might be a good idea. And they started making the 3M post. Now, if you go into Dollar Tree, you can buy all kinds of, non-brand Post-it notes. That's a good example of the product life cycle there, where other people got into it. They're not the 3M brand, but there's a million brands of those. Staple, every store has a store brand. But so this picture says, I think authors say that 3M started using it for, instead of just writing notes, in an office setting, or people use it for expression. Give kids 4 different colors and have them make a painting of Post-it notes or whatever. Modifying the market, modifying the product, and change the characteristics of it: features, style, packaging. Make Post-it notes in different sizes, which they've done. Put lines on them so people can make grocery lists for them or whatever. Those are good examples of modifying the product, and then modifying the marketing mix. And how can you do that? Well, if you remember, the marketing mix is product, price, place, and promotion, or 3 P's and a D. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You could offer new and improved services to buyers. You could offer a warranty or free oil changes if it was a car or something like that. Cut the price to attract users that were not buying it at the higher price, or offer a cheaper model so that people would buy it. New advertising campaign, or a better advertising campaign on a better channel or a different channel. Aggressive sales. You could start offering coupons and contests and things like that. And those are all examples of modifying the marketing mix. Now, the decline stage follows the maturity stage. You see that sales start to really tail off and profits are approaching zero. So what do we do? What does a company do? Maintain the product just like it is? Harvest the product, or drop it altogether? So you may decide to maintain the brand because it's an important brand, well known, and you don't want to lose it. You could harvest it, which means just reducing the cost as much as you can. Don't put any more research development into it, or advertising, or sales, and hoping that holds up to some degree. I always think of Lifebuoy soap, Lifebuoy. Doing this, Lifebuoy soap has been around. I remember my grandparents use it. It's a very big brand, and it's still available on grocery store shelves. Usually they have about 2 bars in a terrible location, way down close to the floor. They still make it, and they still send it out, but probably nobody that's listening to this has ever seen a Lifebuoy soap commercial. Lifebuoy, like a water buoy. But they still sell it. They just decided that, kind of a harvesting thing. They haven't dropped it. They still make it. They just don't advertise it. Or you could decide just to get rid of it, or sell it. Sell it to somebody else, or just get rid of it because it's over with. If you don't put any money into it, then you're not going to sell any of them. So since most products are in this maturity stage, as stated earlier, ideally what you'd like to do is when you have a product that's moving up the line and it gets to a maturity stage and it gets to the top of sales, what you'd like to do is modify it enough, or modify the market, modify the product, where you can start it back over again. Maybe not this far, maybe you want to start back over. And here, if you think of detergent, detergent's been around for, I won't say 100 years, but more than that, really. So what do? They add stain blocker, or they add fabric softener or something. They add a scent to it, or they take a scent out. Those things are done to start the product life cycle over again, because you'd like to start it over again and keep going. So you don't ever have to say, okay, we're out of the detergent business. Think of an iPhone. An iPhone, the very first one, was developed, or a smartphone was developed over in here. But Apple made the first iPhone, and then other companies came out and they added things to it, and they had their own, a better camera and better connectivity, and they iPhone 5, iPhone 6. So anyway, you get the point. So a little recap of things that happen. Product development, 0 sales, a lot of costs. You get a product, slow sales, small to non-existent profits. People start, it fulfills a need and it's good, so it exists past that intro stage. People start accepting it in the market and start buying it, and you start making more of it, which means your unit costs go down, profits go up. Maturity is pretty much everywhere at that point. In every location, not hard to find. And sales start to slow, and profits start to taper off. In decline, sales fall off and profits drop. So in addition to the product lifecycle concept that we just talked about, you can also apply that concept to they call style, fashion, and fads. And their curves are a bit different. Women wearing high-waisted jeans. Okay, that was popular in the 80s. And then, no. And I see now women wearing them again. Right, that'd be a style. Or bell-bottom jeans. 70s. And now I notice some people wearing bell-bottom jeans again. Fashion's a little different. Over time, like the 3-piece Brooks Brothers suit, at work, and then it kind of changed over time to business casual or blazers and pants, maybe not a tie. That's a fashion example. And then a fad would be like a fidget spinner. You see one, and then they're at every quick stop, and then they're nowhere. Or a pet rock, or whatever the fads are. That's the whole life cycle there. It's over with. So you try to capitalize on it while you can. So these charts are just characteristics of the product life cycle, and this would be good to review for an exam. You can see in the introduction stage we have few competitors. Growth, people start getting in there because we're making some money. Maturity, we've got a stable number of people making it, but some of the weaker ones are falling out. And then decline, we've got a declining number of competitors because either people move on because their business is not strong, or they move on because they choose to move on. You can see that for each of the stages of the IGMD. introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Then we have, we continue on with product, price, distribution. We'll take distribution here. In introduction, we only sell it at certain places for multiple reasons. Try to create some exclusivity, and we may not be able to talk a lot of people into carrying it. And then we, in the growth stage, you find it more and more places. We go back to high definition televisions, and now the OLED, and it's just progressed on. But we build more intensive distribution during maturity stage. Now, instead of Best Buy, these things are at Walmart. And then decline, we go selective, phase out on profitable outlets. Maybe we've got a higher end television there, so we just go to higher end places. So these are good. Those are good charts to review as far as the strategies for each stage. And then finally, talk about international product and service marketing. Service marketing we've talked about a bunch of times because it's a big bulk of the worldwide economy, and especially the U.S. economy. So when dealing internationally, you have to decide if we standardize products for U.S., Canada, Mexico, Bolivia, Japan, that lowers the costs. It should increase the profits, unless it doesn't work everywhere. Right? Coca-Cola makes and sells drinks in countries that they don't make and sell in the United States. Now, it'd be cheaper on them if they just made Coca-Cola and shipped it everywhere, right? And they bought all over the world. And they do buy regular Coke, but there are different versions of Coke and different versions of drinks. So you have to weigh the difference between standardizing your brand, your product, versus customizing the product. Hopefully, you don't have to customize the brand, but even then, you have to do it. Packaging and labeling, does it mean the same thing everywhere? And then customs laws and values. If you think about some businesses that have been international for a while, banking and airlines, I'll just throw out there. Delta flight leaves Atlanta and arrives in Japan. So the logo is the same. They offer different things on a flight from Atlanta to Japan than they would from Atlanta to St. Louis? Yes. So they make those modifications, but they don't change the brand. Delta. They may use different taglines in Japan than they do here in their advertising. So they have some blend of both. Think about banking. Banking is essentially the same everywhere, right? You deposit money with a bank, they pay you interest so they can loan it out and make money on it. But every country's different. So, Wells Fargo or Bank of America, right, they're going to have some standardization where they are, but they may also offer different products in different places that maybe the market demands that they don't demand in Georgia, let's say, for example. Okay, that is Chapter 9, Part 2, covering primarily the product life cycle. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but know it anyway because it'll be on the exam. All right, take care.